Hey guys, before we get into the video here, I have a quick word from the Fountain Hill Stickball Classic. The 16th annual Fountain Hill Stickball Classic will be held this Saturday, August 3rd in Fountain Hill, Pennsylvania. This year's tournament features 21 teams battling it out for glory, with games starting at 9 a.m. and the championship game scheduled to take place at 6 p.m. at the Fountain Hill Playground. Bethlehem-based stickball team MFS, shout out to you guys, coming off of their 4th tournament win in 5 years, could make history this weekend as they attempt to become the first team to win the tournament 5 times. MFS, led by star outfielder Sean Bush and Ant Davis, congrats as well, my man, have already made a name for themselves in the stickball community. But a tournament win this weekend will cement them as one of the greatest stickball teams of all time. All proceeds from this event will benefit the Glagala Children Education Fund. Don't miss the opportunity to enjoy a fantastic day of stickball and support a great cause. Also, my guys, the Goosemen, shout out to y'all. La Familia, a lot of great teams, an amazing day, obviously for a good cause. It is a blast, and we hope to see you there. Back to the video. Welcome back, guys, to the B team. We're back. It's been a little bit, dude. Muller is in South Carolina having an absolute ball, drinking Snoop Dogg wine and golfing. So we have producer Gas behind the camera. Always good having you behind the camera. We can talk our Jets. You always give some good insight. So another great day. How's it going? We doing all right?
In front of the camera this time, Mikey.
In front of the camera?
In front of the camera.
Sorry, Jesus. All we really have today, obviously today's August 1st. Football, minicamp, all that is now starting up. You can see a bunch of videos on Twitter. It is an exciting time right now. We are probably a month out from the season, a little bit over a month. It was a long one. It's been boring. The dog days of summer here. They are here, but we're right around the corner, man. I'm excited. So what we have in store today, we're going to get into fantasy. So I here have a mock draft coming up. We're going to do this. So we're going to do a full mock draft. I have 3 players who I personally would target from rounds 1 to 10. So we're just going to do most of the lineup and a couple bench players that I like that could provide you value. Good RB2s on a team, can be RB1s. So wide receivers, same thing. A lot of rookies that I believe will make a difference right off the bat, and it's nice to have as a bench piece. I hate actually that I'm doing this because I feel like I'm also giving up my strategy. So, I mean, I feel like we understand how
me too.
We draft.
If you're in our leagues, just stop watching now.
Yeah.
Turn the video off.
This is more so it's not a dynasty. This is just regular annual redraft. So if you're using ESPN or like NFL Yahoo, you just go in, your new league with the buddies. You're not keeping the same players. You're just resetting every single year. This is what the format is for this one.
Yeah, just normal PPR format. Make sure that's set to PPR when it starts so we get the right player rankings and everything. Yeah,
so we have PPR. Again, so the way I'm not going by ADP where each player is selected in the rounds. I'm going based off the rankings of each of these players. I did use ESPN. Unfortunately, we can't download it on this app, so we're using Fantasy Pros. It should be very similar. So again, I have 10 rounds, 3 players who I would target, and we're going to kind of go from there. So we're screen recording and everything, right?
Yeah, we're good to go.
All right, so I'm going to start this up here. Start my draft. Fantasy Pros. So that's a new and upcoming one. Or Flock Fantasy. I might be thinking of that. So I am pick 7. I believe that everything is already selected at the moment. You could look on the right side here. It is my pick. Right off the bat, I personally like round 1. You could really draft whoever you want. My strategy is going receiver right off the bat. I think you just get the most value going from there. I love A.J. Brown. I think he's a really solid option. I like Bijan too, but I'm just going to be a homer, and I'm going to take the second best overall player in the league, and it's going to be Breece Hall. That is just very simple. And we can see who else is getting drafted here. Gibbs is another guy. So 3 people in my round 1 that I'd go for. Again, you really can't go wrong. I think Justin Jefferson off a down year, absolute comeback. We all know he's the best receiver in the league. It's not even close. Him, Brees Hall, or Amon-Ra. Just the youth of Amon-Ra, his connection with Jared Goff, I think it goes unmatched, and he will consistently provide you double-digit points every single time. So round 2 here, I have a couple of guys. So right now, as you see on the screen here, Marvin Harrison is one guy that is an option. Chris Olave, Pacheco, and Laporta. In my opinion, I don't like drafting tight ends that high. I like to just get all the important positions out the way right off the bat. So wide receiver, running back, get those done. I like to wait on quarterbacks, and I also like to wait on tight ends. I'd rather have more value from these receivers who can, for example, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave is another guy that's nice here. But these are suggestions, by the way. So these 4 suggestions, I wouldn't go Pacheco here. I just think they're too pass heavy. Chris Olave, I just think he's in a disgruntled team right now, and he seems disgruntled as well.
Is Pacheco the top running back on the board right now?
So again, this is suggestions. If I go to running backs, I don't think there's a time limit on this either, which is great. So I can actually go through. This is great. So I can go through and chat about it. So running back wise, he is number 1. Like for
Read
this
off
overall.
the top few backs.
So right now I have Isaiah Pacheco, I have Rashad White, Devin Achane, and then Derrick Henry. This is another guy. I had this in round 3.
So that's crazy that all those guys are above Derrick Henry in these rankings. That's kind of absurd.
I know. Yeah, I think Derrick is, I feel like, an easy pick here. Me personally, I don't even know where Kyron Williams got selected before me. So you can see on the right here, to start round 2, Puka went 2.01, Jonathan Taylor 2.02, Devontae Adams, Travis Etienne. That's another guy in round 2. I don't think you can go wrong with. Since I already did take a running back, I did take Brees Hall. I'm gonna have to go receiver here. I love Rashad White. I think his upside, I don't think he's even touched it yet, and he is a very, very underrated running back. I think he was running back 8 last year. Good O-line. They're also getting better. Baker's going to need that security blanket. He's not only just a rusher, but he can also catch it in the backfield, check downs, etc. here. But I wish. Okay, so they do. Okay, so if I go to all here, it'll give me. Okay, so Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, Drake London, and Michael Pittman. If I was in this position right now, I think Marvin Harrison you can't go wrong with just because of his upside and Kyler. I would be stuck between him and Drake. I think Drake is on an absolute uproar, and I think with Kirk Cousins there, I don't see him not getting the ball. Same with Kyle Pitts. However, I'm going to take a risk here again. You got to be risky when it comes to fantasy football, especially with rookies. We've seen Marvin Harrison. He was the clear wide receiver 1 in the draft, and he's going to be wide receiver 1 for Arizona. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison. So right now I have Brees Hall and Marvin Harrison on my team. So that completes my 2 running back and receiver. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to keep finding these other guys. You could see who's getting taken off, like Travis Kelce 2.08, Derrick Henry 2.09, Achane. Listen, I like Achane, but I don't think I would risk a second round pick on him. I don't think he's good. He's very good. He's got a big potential. With Mostert there, I just think there's too much going on. There's a lot of mouths to feed. So Tua is going to be slinging the ball. And here we go, starting round 3. Guys like Josh Allen, Brandon Ayuk, Josh Jacobs, Mike Evans, Laporta. So same trajectory here. So some of the suggestions for receiver, we have Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. Really good set of guys. I think you cannot go wrong with either Jalen or Nico. I like DJ Moore. I like him more in reality than I do fantasy as a receiver. So one of those 2 guys I would take. Let me just look at the running backs real quick. Rashad White, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, and James Cook. I mean, if Rashad is still there in round 3, I love his upside, and I think he's got great volume. They're going to lean on him.
I like him and James Cook. I think it's kind of hard to make the decision between those two, but I'd probably go with James Cook.
James Cook. Just
because of that Buffalo offense. He catches a lot of passes, too. He's a good dual threat.
Yeah, so at this point, it's really like if you're in this position, you have your one running back, you have your one wide receiver. It really just depends on what your strategy is. Do you want to have some guy who's going to give you consistent points, that's going to run the ball, and also, again, PPR league is going to also catch it, or you're going to go for high value upside. You're going to go for a Jalen Waddle who just got paid, Tua just got paid, and also had a down year, or you're going to go for Nico. But again, Nico is now surrounded by Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, so a lot of mouths to feed there too. You could say the same with Waddle. I just think Waddle's a lot faster, and he's a better overall like wide receiver in fantasy. I'm probably going to take Jalen Waddle here. And in case Tyreek Hill goes down, like he's immediately can fill that wide receiver 1 position. No hassle about it. What do you think so far? So right now I have Breece Hall as my RB1, obviously solid. I like him more than Garrett in fantasy. Marvin Harrison at 2, wide receiver 1, and then Jalen Waddle will be my wide receiver 2. Again, it's different for each league. I like to do 3 receivers in a league like we have in our Sleeper Dynasty. This one, again, just a redraft. You have 2 receivers, 1 flex, 2 running backs. You want to just load up your starting lineup right off the bat. So here we go. We're in round 4. Jalen Hurts. Again, like another good guy to have. I just don't like taking quarterbacks that high. It also depends on the position that you're in. If you're selecting 1 or 2 overall, where you're in a snake draft, sometimes you might have to go and just get a guy like Josh Allen or Lamar, just so you have someone. If you don't want to wait for, I don't know, a guy like Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, like it just depends. I just think if you want to win your leagues, the best way to do it is just to get consistent guys, but also some boom and bust guys. Like as long as you have some consistent players in your running back position and your wide receiver 1 and 2, then you can go boom or bust and just hope for the best. I mean, Mike Evans is the prime example of boom or bust. So again, if I'm looking at my team here, I wish I could look, but Breece Hall, I'm gonna circle the names that I drafted so I know. So Breece, I have Marvin Harrison, and then I have Jalen Waddle. Good. Now I'm going to look at running backs here. So again, I have my 2 receivers. 4 of them listed: Kenneth Walker III, Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, and James Conner. I absolutely love Ramondre this year. I think just that, again, we know New England is not going to be the team that it used to be. I mean, it really has in the last couple of years. He just got paid. That's probably one of the most like underrated contracts that just came out. Like very under the radar. No one knows about the contract, but it would probably be between him and Kenneth Walker here. I love Kenneth Walker's upside. I love his volume. Just he's kind of your cowbell. No one's we don't know what Zach Charbonnet has. I mean, we know he's got potential, but we don't know how he fits. And I feel like last year we've seen Kenneth Walker just kind of take that RB1 position and just kind of run with it. What do you think? I mean, to me, I would take Ramondre just because he's also a pass catching back. And listen, they need all the help they can get. They're going to run the offense through him.
Ramondre's good. I don't know if I like him this high playing for New England.
Round 4.
List out like the next 3 running backs for me.
So I have. Give me another suggestion here. Okay, this is sick. So we have Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, Ramondre, James Conner, David Montgomery, and then Zamir White. Shout out to you, my man.
Yeah, so it's starting to get a little thin with running backs. For me, I think I'd take Kenneth Walker. You can't go wrong with Ramondre, though. I mean, I think you do have to take a running back now because if you don't fill that spot, there's going to be like no one left.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like.
Honestly, James Conner is a good option. You can't trust him, yes. But he is that boom or bust guy. You never know.
Even Montgomery is the same. Like we saw him last year. Like he's going to take a lot of those goal line touches, and he's going to give you 14, 15 points on a good. Like usually that's what he's going to average. Like that's what you want. But again, you got to go into this, and this is screen recording too. Like a guy like Zamir White, I mean, that's going to be the RB1 on the team. I mean, again, they're not as good as they're probably on the bottom half of the league for just overall talent. But if you have confidence in a guy that, let's say, for example, like you're looking at DeAndre Swift, who is looking at ADP 59, so in the 5th round. Like if you think that any of these guys are going to stay on the board, then take your risk with a receiver. Again, like we have another flex here, and we'll look at the receivers. Like Nico is still on the board here. Like I think there's no question that's the guy.
Yeah, you have to. You have to take Nico Collins over any of those running backs.
For sure. Like that's it. It just doesn't even. There's no fucking question about it. Nico Collins. Okay, just so I write that down. So Breece Hall was in the 1st round. Again, 1st round, you really can't go wrong with anyone. The only thing you're just kind of working your way around is an injury in the future. Obviously, it happens to everyone. You could see Justin Jefferson was a prime example. Justin Jefferson, Marvin Harrison as my 2, Jalen Waddle is my 3, Nico is my 4. So right now, my flex and my 2 receivers are done. This is where I'm still going to load up on receiving running backs and receivers. Like it's so important in fantasy, and you know this, guys. Like you have to load up on your bench. Like, you must load up on your bench. And here we go. Like people, all right. For a great example, Ramondre's still on the board. Oh, he's on the Patriots. Like Patriots are going to suck. Think about Breece Hall last year. Why is he the number 2 overall rated player in the league on ESPN? The volume was there. Like for me, I look for volume. How many times is he touching the ball a game? How many receptions or targets is he getting a game? Like that shit's important, bro. He might have 5 targets but 2 catches for 15 yards. But if he's getting looked at 5 times and then also running the ball over 24 times, you want to give the ball to him as much as possible. I will definitely take that any day. Like listen, sometimes the points aren't going to come out and he's going to have a bad week. Okay, that's fair. Like defenses are going to key on guys like him. But Ramondre is a guy that's, I feel like, going to have the same exact role as Breece. Look, Najee's another guy. I mean, he's more of a 6th round, 7th round type of player. The only thing that scares me about Najee is Jalen Warren right behind him. And I feel, which is hilarious because it just suggested another player, and it's Jalen Warren, who is Najee's RB24 and Jalen Warren's RB25. So I hate the split back scenarios, but again, the league is shying away from the cowbell. I think you know that too. There's not many cowbell backs, so if you can find one, I think we have an idea who can be a cowbell and who cannot be a cowbell. Like for example, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. That's like you're gonna have to just flip a coin and hope for the best every single week with those guys. But that's all right though. Again, like they have a good week and someone has a bad week that's a permanent starter for you, it's gonna make up for that. So I like Ramondre here. I think as an RB2, having Breece and Ramondre, he's going to get a lot of receptions, bro. PPR league, I think that's the guy. You got to go Ramondre. I wasn't really high on him the previous couple years, but we've seen what he can do. We remember that game we went to where it was a Patriots Jets, and he was pretty much torching us. Like he's got the talent. It's just is Brissett or whoever else is at quarterback, Joe Milton, Drake May. Are they going to find him the ball? They're going to run through him. I think the Patriots right now are going to be a run-heavy team. They don't really have receivers like that. So I think Ramondre is the way to go here. So here we go. You're looking at this. Zay Flowers was another guy. Christian Kirk, T. Higgins. Like a lot of risk with these guys. I think Zay Flowers and Kirk aren't as risky. But T. Higgins, I mean, he seems disgruntled with Cincinnati. Could be a trade target. Who knows where he goes to? Marquise Brown, I think in the 6th round, you grab him. George Pickens, another guy who I think is only going to get better and better. Now is where I'll take a look at quarterback and see who's there, and also tight end. I know there are some, like Dalton Kincaid right now is available. We have George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, Evan Ingram. I like Ingram. I'm really just not a fan of him in fantasy. Obviously he has his weeks. He's gotten better. I think the upside that Kincaid has, again, they're going to run a lot of dual tight end threats and sets and shit. Like they got Dawson Knox there, but I think they know that Dalton Kincaid's a guy. Kyle Pitts, I mean, he's been a disaster for fantasy the last couple years, but he also had Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder throwing him the ball, and Arthur Smith, who wouldn't throw the ball at all. That's a guy I think that you take your chances on. You forget about the past and you accept what's coming with this guy. And we got to remember here, he was the 4th overall pick in the draft. He was like the next generational talent that we've talked about. His year 1, his rookie year, he actually did pretty well for fantasy. But the previous 2, it's been a shit show. We'll say that. I mean, but again, that's organizational for me. Like coaching, GM, play calling, like it just has not favored the Falcons. And again, I've talked about them a bunch. They're not a bad freaking team, man. And now with Kirk Cousins. So if I look at quarterback here, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, bro. What did I say, dude? That's fucking hilarious. Depends what you like here. If you're looking for rushing yardage and touchdowns, Kyler isn't a bad selection. Jordan Love just getting paid. I mean, you really can't go wrong with any 4 of these guys. Obviously, Brock, he's got everybody around him, so he just has to make plays, and obviously the numbers will increase. And then Joe Burrow. If you want to take a risk on Joe Burrow, I don't even think it's a risk anymore. You can't go wrong with him. I mean, if you're nervous about his injury, then look at Jordan Love. Look at Kyler. Like for me right now, if I'm looking at these 4, let me suggest another player and see who else is there. Jaden Daniels. I can't take Jaden Daniels.
No, you can do that. Maybe you can stash him on your bench in later rounds, but you can't take him this high just because he's a running quarterback. They overrank a rookie running quarterback every year
for sure,
just because he runs the ball. But I don't think you can do that here.
Yeah, there's just too much uncertainty, and the defenses, like we can't forget, like the Cowboys have a good defense, the Birds have a pretty good defense, and the Giants have a good defense. Listen, they might be a shit show, but they just got Brian Burns. They play hard, man. They're going to play hard for Dable. So putting Jaden Daniels in that situation, that's more of like a waiver wire, like fill in. If your guy's on a bye and he just needs someone, I think Jaden Daniels, you're going to take a risk with him. I mean, you're not going to be like, oh, here's a guy who's going to give me 20 points. Dude, it could be 5 points. It could be 35 points. You don't know. We don't know a lot about Jaden Daniels. We don't know what he's going to do for Washington, but he's got weapons too. But it's just...
So now you're at the point in the draft where I always hit this dilemma. You only have 1 running back.
2.
So who was your other one?
Brees and Ramondre.
Okay,
and then
you got Ramondre.
Marvin Harrison, Nico Collins, and Jalen Waddle. Those are my 3 receivers. So, like, that starting lineup is set. However, don't freeze on me now. All right, might be frozen. But, shit. Technical difficulties here, guys. Hold on. Okay, just based off that conversation, like you could go about it that way. Like if you have your full lineup set, like between running backs and receivers, keep loading them up. I mean, at some point you're going to have to get a quarterback. At some point you're going to have to get a tight end. But again, if you like guys that are later in the rounds 8, rounds 9, like a Dalton Schultz. I mean, he's the tight end 1 there. Isaiah Likely is another guy who I like. There are a bunch of people. I mean, it's just how do you want to go about your draft? Quarterback's important nowadays. I feel like a lot of the leagues, whether you're going super flex or like you look at guys like Josh Allen and Lamar, like they're gonna just put up numbers for you, bro. And like that's who you're taking. For me right here, I'll probably go Joe Burrow. I'm nervous with him, but I can't see him not coming back and having a good year. Jamar Chase has been waiting for it. Bengals fans have been waiting for it. He's been waiting for it. So Joe Burrow would be a good pick, and I'll probably take him if this wants to load back up. Do you want to take it away from me? Take it away from me. But overall, right off the bat, I'm very happy with my team. And again, we're seeing this year in and year out. Like drafts are getting... They're more forgiving because there is so much talent amongst receivers. Running backs, I think, is coming up a little bit. Like you could kind of wait. I know we have a lot of 0 running back strategy guys out there. It's not a bad strategy. You just have to hit on the picks. Zamir White, like if I'm a big Zamir White guy, if I'm going 3 wide receivers right off the bat, and he's my running back 1, like it's not gonna be pretty, but if you think he's going to be the guy for you, yeah, take him. But I think you have to get running back within the first 3 picks. You have to at least get one on the squad. They're important, and we're seeing it not be as important in real life. I mean, just on the field, but for numbers, you got to get something. Like, you got to find a guy with PPR potential. Ramondre Stevenson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey. Again, these are guys that are going first and second round. Kyron Williams is another one that can rush and catch. Derrick Henry, listen, I like Derrick Henry. You know, I traded him away to Nietzsche. He's getting older, man, but he's a freak athlete. He is kind of an outlier because his body is still strong. He's in a run-heavy offense again with the Ravens. You just gotta bank on his health. That's really it. So when this is refreshed up again, there's also no one else in that mock draft. So it's just me, and the computer is just selecting everybody else. We got it?
No, it's not working.
It's not working? Damn. Okay, well, I guess we can continue it out. I still have people in the rounds here that I can talk about.
Just keep going with that.
So is it chalked, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're chalked here. Technical difficulties. But you're seeing where I'm coming from here. That was so we're going into round 7 here. A couple guys that I like Kyle Pitts. Like, if he's right there waiting for a tight end, you're taking him, or you're taking a quarterback. Round 7, I like guys like JSN. With Lockett there, he's obviously going to eat into his workload, but there's 3 of them. One of those guys, believe it or not, will probably be hurt for a couple weeks, and JSN, having him on your bench where you can throw him in and be like, okay, they're playing the Arizona Cardinals divisional game at home. I mean, we can't forget that this guy was supposedly better than Garrett Wilson. I think he's a good target for a bench spot, and you take him. Xavier Worthy's another one. Just because he's with Pat Mahomes, you can't go wrong here. So, okay, I select one of those guys. Perfect. So, round 8 here. Now, I have either a tight end in Kyle Pitts or a quarterback in Joe Burrow. I need to get running backs. I have to get running backs. I like guys like Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard. I think these guys are going to do great. Again, PPR-based. Alvin Kamara, if he falls that far, I know people are a little worried about him, but still a great running back. Ladd McConkey's another guy. I know, Gassy, you're a big Ladd McConkey guy. Justin Herbert, I think that's going to be his wide receiver 1, probably wide receiver 2. He's going to be one of either or. He's a beast. And I think it's exciting to see what he's going to do in that Chargers offense and see how Jim Harbaugh uses him. Jacoby Myers, if he's there too, very underrated. He's wide receiver 2 for the Raiders. It's just, do you trust Gardner or Aiden McConnell throwing him the ball?
One guy I'm taking over maybe any of those guys you just listed is Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors. Okay, if he's there
right
too,
now,
you're taking
it's
him.
August 1st, I believe. He's been killing it in camp already. He's easily the Giants' best receiver. They have not had a receiver in, 10 years. But everyone talks about how bad Danny Dimes is, and he isn't great. But he's good enough to put up some fantasy points for a receiver. I think if Malik comes out and he's a great receiver, that he will be a viable fantasy option this year, and he's going to fall a lot farther than I think he should just because he's on the Giants and he's unproven.
Mm-hmm. And
so in later rounds, if he's there, I'm looking at Malik Neighbors.
So I think Neighbors, I can't see him falling past like round 5, and that's even a stretch, like round 4 probably. But it just depends on if you can put aside the fact that Danny Dimes is a quarterback, like you said. We know he's not. He just got paid again. Not everyone thinks he's good. That's fair. We get it. His numbers and everything, just the way he plays, I get it. But if you have a guy like Neighbors who's going to just get looked at every single time they're passing the ball, and hopefully, I mean, again, he's a professional athlete, he's a professional quarterback, can hit him, you take him. I mean, he's too young and he's too talented to pass up. I agree. Yeah, again, I have 3 people here. Round 9, like if you're going into round 8, round 9, that's probably where you can start looking into a quarterback. And there's people that are still there, like Rodgers would be there. Justin Herbert is another guy. Jared Goff. Like, these are good quarterbacks. Let's think about it right now. The top 100 NFL or top 100 players in the NFL just came out. 16 quarterbacks are on that list. So there are 16 other teams that maybe they're not that good, maybe they're old, maybe they're too young. You can wait. Like, there are only going to be a couple quarterbacks that are going in the first 5 rounds. I would say 5 to 6 max. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, probably Jalen Hurts somewhere will go. And I'm definitely missing some. CJ Stroud is another guy. Joe Burrow, that's why I like to wait, because it's such a deep class. Like, again, I don't think quarterback points matters that much. It could win you a week, but also it could lose you a week. I mean, I just think if you're getting your foundation based off your receivers and your running backs, the quarterbacks, they'll be fine. If they're getting you 15 points a week, that's fine. Because say you're getting Josh Allen is giving you 28, and then you have a receiver that's giving you 2 points, 5 points. Like, you don't want that. You don't want to keep looking at the waiver wire for receivers that could be good and aren't good. Like, you don't want to be in that situation. Get a quarterback who's going to be a starter, who's going to be on a solid team, and just take him. So Rodgers falling around 9, a lot of people are going to take him. Justin Herbert, same thing. Dak gets a lot of hate. He'll probably be there too. So that's why I like to wait. I don't know how you feel about it, but Brock's another guy. Like, I don't think a lot of people are going to be selecting Brock. Like, that's where you wait and you just you watch and see where they fall and just take a risk. You got anything on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think Brock was like QB6 last year. And if you just have a 12-man league and redraft, I mean, you're going to have a good quarterback. It's pretty hard not to. Yeah, I think you load up on receivers, running backs, everything else.
Caleb Williams, same thing.
I've never been a guy who takes like the Josh Allen or the Lamar Jackson in like round 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
It just hasn't been my strategy.
For sure. And guys like that, like, we know how good they are, especially in fantasy. Like, you got to worry about injury, man. It's just a part of the game. You have to worry about it. That's why you load up on all these players. Do I want someone who's going to run around? Like, we know Josh Allen, he doesn't want to slide. If he's running and he's scrambling outside the pocket and he takes off, he's not sliding, bro. He's going to put his head down and he's just going to either initiate contact or he's going to get hurt, man. And like, you've seen the way he hurdles and goes crazy. Like, you got to be careful with these guys, man. That's really all I'm saying. So wait, go for pocket passers, man. Pocket passers are going to get you yardage. They're going to get you touchdowns and maybe a quarterback sneak at times. So wait on those guys. So round 10, this is, again, you're loading up for your bench here. Guys like Demario Douglas, I think he was undrafted for the Patriots. Slot guy, you want some speed. Josh Downs is another guy under the radar. It's just Ken Richardson throwing the ball. Adonai Mitchell's another guy. I mean, he was one of the highly touted receivers coming out of the draft, and he fell to the Colts at 52. Like, there are some guys that will live and die by Adonai Mitchell, and like, this is a perfect opportunity to take him. He might even go a little bit earlier. But and again, Dalton Schultz. You look at other tight ends, Isaiah Likely, Jonnu Smith. Just load up on those guys. And then once one person takes a defense in round 13 or 14, then you do the same. Unless you see a guy like Rondale Moore or Darnell Mooney, who you're like, okay, like, here's a deep threat that can maybe get some tick. Yeah, that's Tua. Tua's another guy too. That's really it. Sucks that it crashed on us here, but at least we got a look. Do you think the screen record will save?
Yeah, we have it.
It will? Okay, so hopefully when we watch this, again, we all have a little bit of footage on that, but you can see based off the 6 rounds that we were at, I was talking through it the whole time, kind of just rambling, but that's my strategy. So overall, in a nutshell, attack your receivers right off the bat, unless you don't like any of the receivers on the board, go for a running back. But you're definitely going wide receiver, running back, or vice versa, running back, receiver, and then load up again. Like, make sure you build the bench. That's where you win your leagues, where you have a good bench. If you just auto draft after round 8, you're not going to win, bro. You need to know these players. That's the only way you win. I have won 2 championships, I believe, so far. Shout out to the Jaeger Bombers. Love you guys. But that's kind of it. That's all I got. So next week, do we want to do top like sleeper picks, overrated picks? Because remember last time you would like name them off to me, and I would kind of you would give them like, oh, are they gonna finish top 10 or something? We should do something like that. But it could be, we could have like 5 receivers, 5 running backs, 5 quarterbacks. So like, let's have a good chunk of people that not everyone's really gonna know where to draft them or if they should draft them.
Yeah, we'll be back with more fantasy content for sure. It's that time of year.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. So, guys, like, follow, subscribe. Football's around the corner. There will be more golf footage coming out. Thank you, guys. You're the best. We shall see you next week.